When he came up to his room, she was sitting on his bed. Ove stood sulkily in the doorway with his hands in his pockets. She looked at him and laughed. Are we an item now? She asked. Well, yes, he replied hesitantly. I suppose it could be that way. And then it was that way. She handed him the brochure. It was a 2-year course, and it proved that all the time Ove had spent on learning about house building had not, after all, been wasted as he once believed. Maybe he did not have much of a head for studying in the conventional sense, but he understood numbers and he understood houses. That got him far. He took the examination after 6 months, then another and another. Then he got his employment at the housing office and stayed there for more than a third of a century. Worked hard, was never ill, paid his mortgage, paid tax, did his duty, bought a little 2-story terraced house in a recently constructed development in the forest. She wanted to get married, so Ove proposed. She wanted children, which was fine with him, said Ove, and their understanding was that children should live in terraced housing developments among other children. And less than 40 years later, there was no forest around the house anymore, just other houses. And one day she was lying there in a hospital and holding his hand and telling him not to worry. Everything was going to be all right. Easy for her to say, thought Ove, his breast pulsating with anger and sorrow. But she just whispered, everything will be fine, darling Ove, and leaned her arm against his arm, and then gently pushed her index finger into the palm of his hand, and then closed her eyes and died. Ove stayed there with her hand in his for several hours, until the hospital staff entered the room with warm voices and careful movements, explaining that they had to take her body away. Ove rose from his chair, nodded, and went to the undertaker's to take care of the documents. On the Sunday, she was buried. On the Monday, he went to work. But if anyone had asked, he would have told them that he never lived before he met her, and not after either.